What is up, players? It's Warboss Tay up in this mug. Today we're taking a look at this Sunland Empire unit of knights. Sunland Empire is actually an army produced by Highland miniatures, and I got this unit of resin 3D printed miniatures from a store called the Pecking Order. I'm going to link it down below in the description, and you can see it costs $35 for 12 of these miniatures. And when you consider Games Workshop is charging almost twice that for the same amount of miniatures for their Empire Knights, which is clearly what this unit is meant to be imitating, then the savings is there if you're deciding to get into the old world and you are on a budget. In fact, I'm going to show you some other reasons why you might want to consider getting these knights. First of all, they come in a plastic bag. I'm not sure if the Pecking Order does things any differently now, but they all come in a plastic bag, and when you take them out, you can see that the horses are already assembled. Unlike the plastic knights where you have to clip out the horse halves, glue them together, glue the tail in the little hole in the back, and then glue the head on, these are already assembled. Now you can see these bases I have. These cavalry bases I actually had to purchase on my own. The Pecking Order does not provide cavalry bases, at least he didn't at the time that I bought this model, or this unit. So you can see the quality is really nice. You can see the individual links of chainmail. There's a little bit of flashing that you're going to need to clean up, either scraping it with your hobby knife or just flicking it off with your fingernail. Luckily, this is resin, and this resin is pretty forgiving. What that also means, though, is that when you are handling it, you might be careful. You might want to be careful with putting too much pressure on anything, especially like the lances or moving the miniatures around, because you don't want them to snap and break. So when you're assembling resin, you want to use a super glue and a good super glue activator or accelerator. This is something I did not learn until very late in my hobbying experience. The sooner you learn this, the better. The more time it's going to save, and the more layers of skin on your fingers you're going to save, because I cannot tell you how much super glue I had dried on my fingertips over the years because I was assembling metal models, holding them together, pressing them together. The super glue was leaking out, getting all over my fingers without me knowing them. So definitely you want to use a super glue accelerator. What I love is that they're already pre-assembled except for the shields and the heads. The shields go on through the little bracket which you super glue on the arm. What I do is I like to super glue the body, or the larger part of the model, and then the smaller part that I'm attaching to it, like in this case the shield, I like to put the super glue accelerator on that, so that you're just pressing it on and it creates an instant bond. You don't have to worry about holding it in place and the model slipping. Man, 10 years ago, I would have absolutely loved this when I was building up my metal homunculus and all of my metal orcs and goblins characters. It was such a nightmare back then to super glue pewter models together. Now, I cannot emphasize enough how much time you're saving by not gluing together these bodies. The only thing you're really putting on is the head, and that goes on so simply. It fits. The head has like a little nub for the neck, and there's a hollow in the body, so you just slot it right on. And while I'm assembling, I'm going to talk about why it's so important to have these models sculpted in this way and why you should really consider getting them. When you are young, the hobby, the Warhammer hobby, or when you're new, let's say, and you have a lot of time on your hands, the Warhammer hobby is all about discovering how the models go together, figuring out the best process to save yourself some time and to put them together artistically, and you feel like you're really creating something out of scratch. As you get older, like I have, and you have less and less time to devote to the miniatures hobby, the act of assembling a miniature really goes down the priority list. If you can get assembled miniatures onto the tabletop, you don't have to paint them. You just have your miniatures there and you can see what they look like. Oh, it's a unit of knights on horseback. So what, they're not painted, I got them built up at least. If you can't even devote the couple of hours to glue together a horse and then glue a rider by gluing the legs to the torso to each of the two arms, and then you got to do the head and the shield, then you're not going to be able to get the models onto the table fast enough, never mind even getting them painted painted up. So these models are so well designed that you can just glue the feet and then spray some super glue accelerator onto the base, and you press it down for 5 seconds and it has created an instant bond that the only way you're gonna not break it is if you bend the entire miniature so that it snaps off at the ankles, which again, this is resin. So you have to be careful when you're handling these miniatures because they are not meant to be really roughly handled, or else they're gonna snap. And I've had that happen to me before where I drop a miniature, just accidentally drop it from, I'm holding it, it drops onto the table, not even onto the floor, and then it snaps off at the ankles and the feet are left stuck on the base, and you've got the rest of a miniature like, oh my gosh, what a pain in the butt. So you have to be careful. You have to make sure that you are organized in your space so that when you're gluing these things together, you're not really disorganized and accidentally knocking bits and pieces off of your table. And I know organization is a very low priority for many of us gamers and hobbyists. So I'm going to show you my system for building these knights and hope that you create something similar so that you can find the greatest success. I got 10 bases for my cavalry. Turns out there are 12 horses. And so when I'm looking at my unit, I realize I don't have enough bases. I'm going to have 2 horses left over. So I just don't have the cavalry bases. I think they're at my in-laws' place. So I'm going to have to just have a unit of 10 for now until I can find bases for them. Then once I've got the horses down, I go to the rider and I try to put all the riders into place. Now, what I didn't realize when I first started building these models, and I should have organized all the riders separately and figured out that there's 2 full command officers. So you've got the leader here, the champion with the sword, you've got a banner bearer, and you've got a trumpeter. Now, if you are going to run these as 2 units of 6, then that's great. You've got a full command in the front and 3 knights in the back. But if you want to do like I'm doing and get the full 12-man unit, like 3 ranks deep, then what you're going to need to do is not use the second command group. And the pecking order was nice enough to provide the extra 3. I don't know if it's nice enough or this is just how they're supposed to do it. But there are 3 knights that are extra in case you want to do a full unit of 12 knights. So you don't use the second command group. And what I accidentally did was one of my very first models was the second banner bearer. And so what I had to do was remove that banner bearer, and I couldn't do it because the super glue accelerator had set, the super glue was dried, and it was pretty much immovable. So as much as it broke my heart to do so, I had to go in with my hobby knife and try to finagle it into the space between his butt and his saddle, and then the leg just snapped off. And then I was like, you know what, the heck with it, I'm just gonna remove this guy. And a testament to the quality of the super glue accelerator, it was just so strong. And so it took me a while to move it and clean it, but once it was finally off, I was able to get the other regular knight onto the horse and everything was a-okay. Now, luckily, because there are the extra riders, this is not a problem. I'm gonna only have 2 extra command figures, the champion and the trumpeter, that I could save and put in my bits box for something else. But I love the look of a deep unit of knights. I think it looks terrific, especially when they're all painted up. And my plan is that I'm going to, once I get the 2 cavalry bases for these guys in the back, I've got a rattle can of lead belcher. I'm gonna spray them all in lead belcher and then pick out the bits of the horse that you can see, and then finally work on just shading and painting the feathers and doing all of the extra stuff. But look how easily everything is coming together. This would have taken me hours assembling the horses, then sighing in frustration as I realize I have to clip out and clean all of the body parts. There is, like I said, some flashing that you can see if you really look hard enough, but you can just get to spray painting these miniatures and get them start getting to painting. And that's what I love. I'm a father and I do not have the time I did when I was a teenager. So when it comes time to sit down and work at the hobby table, I need to feel like I'm making progress. And when I work with these 3D printed models from Highland's Miniatures, then I feel like I'm getting work done. This video is only 12 minutes, but in reality, it took me about half an hour with all of the filming, and I'm speeding up some of these clips. So it did take me about maybe like half an hour to assemble a full unit. And I can't even tell you how little time that is when you're working with Games Workshop plastics. Half an hour to assemble is not nearly enough when you consider you have to look at the instructions, plan out each single model that you're assembling, clip them off of the sprue frame, shave down the mold lines, snip away any flash. This is just so much more efficient. And when something is efficient, it's more fun, especially for me. I'm on a budget of time and money. I cannot afford either. So getting to the point where in half an hour, I've got a fully built unit of Knights, it's amazing. You're also going to see the amount of extra bits that I've got left over, shields and helmets to be used for relics. You can put them on banners, or you can use them as trophies for other evil races. They're perfect for that. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out this video, you guys. I hope you consider purchasing the Sunland Knights unit from Highland Miniatures through the pecking order store linked in the description. I've also got some paintbrushes linked in the description. It's a great set of paintbrushes from Golden Maple, and if you use my promo code WART, W-A-R-T, then you're gonna get 10% off, and the set has a bunch of detail brushes, which is perfect for eyeballs, and dry brushes. Dry brushes are gonna be great for doing some highlights on all of this silver. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. You guys, if you wanna support me, you can do so by purchasing a channel membership and getting access to all of the free digital downloads. You can also just throw me a super chat or just hit the like button, subscribe, and leave me a comment and let me know how you got on with this video. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to join the Discord if you're not there already. See you in the next one.